This is Oud for Glory, and this is one of my fragrances for life, Oud for Greatness. Is it even possible that this $35 fragrance that's inspired by this $300 fragrance is any good? A lot of you absolutely love Lattafa Bade'e Al Oud Oud for Glory and recommended me to buy it, so I have, and it's time to unbox it and try it out. So this will be a first impressions. Let me know in the comments if you think I should do a full-on comparison of these two. I will mostly try it out and share how I feel about it, but I will of course touch on some of the differences and similarities. So looking at the notes, they seem identical, but notice one thing, actual ingredients is another. So this will be very interesting. There's the saffron, nutmeg, and that lavender. You have oud and patchouli and a bit of musk. The notes in Oud for Glory look identical to Oud for Greatness. So here's the thing, my experience with clones is that they quite often need a bit of time to sort of develop, macerate. Sometimes all I need to do is this thing right here, just let some air in and it would change a bit. Sometimes it needs days, weeks, or even months to sort of fully become what it's supposed to be. But I'm hoping this now will smell sort of similar to what it should smell like. So let's see on paper and up in the air. Okay, this, good job, Lattafa. This is indeed strong Oud for Greatness vibes. There's a difference, but the vibes are definitely strong. So at least on paper, the spiciness is sort of there, and the spiciness is sort of similar to the OG Oud for Greatness. But I'm missing something, and I think what I'm missing is that sort of a top and shine or brightness from the OG. I mean, the notes did state that this was supposed to have lavender in it, much like Oud for Greatness, but at least right now, straight away in the opening, I'm not picking up that much of it. I think I need some of this on my hand as well. Yeah, same thing on my hand, but on my hand, on skin, it's probably a bit richer. The spiciness is probably a bit sort of richer and deeper. And this was not supposed to be a comparison, but I'm so curious on that lavender because I'm not picking up on it the same way as I do with Oud for Greatness. So let's see how this one behaves. Yeah, I think the spiciness is definitely a bit different in Oud for Greatness. I experience the spiciness in Oud for Greatness as a bit smoother. And yeah, I do think that my sort of initial impression was correct in that at least sort of the lavender side of things is not as intense in Oud for Glory as it is in Oud for Greatness. So in a way, based on my very first impressions of Oud for Glory, the opening does give me quite strong Oud for Greatness vibes. This is very much a spicy kind of opening, but there's a difference for sure. And to me, the biggest difference is really, and that is actually quite a big difference, is that Oud for Greatness has the lavender. The lavender sort of creates this beautiful contrast against its spiciness, and I'm not picking up on it that much in Oud for Glory. Yeah, in other words, Oud for Greatness's opening has a bit more sort of a top and brightness to it, that sort of aromatic shine and brightness, whereas Oud for Glory is sort of a darker spicy without that aromatic brightness. I like it though, and as it heads into the mids, the whole thing gets a lot smoother, and that together with the maceration part is another thing that I experience quite often with clones, is that sometimes the opening can be a bit sort of mushy, diffused or intense, but if you wait a bit it gets quite smoother. And yeah, as it heads into the mids it definitely gets a lot smoother, and it also becomes a bit more sort of similar to the OG. And the more it dries down, the more of the oud I get. It also turns into something that was primarily sort of a spicy into something that is spicy oudy and a bit musky. My very first thought when I started to pick up on that oud was that the oud in Oud for Glory feels a bit darker. It doesn't feel as gloriously smooth as in Oud for Greatness. It does smell good, there's nothing bad about it, but it's not exactly the same as in Oud for Greatness. But if I really dig my nose into it, yes, at the core of Oud for Glory, there's definitely Oud for Greatness. But the more it dries down, the more I feel it loses quite a bit of that initial sort of spiciness. So the dry down in a way is a bit darker than Oud for Greatness dry down because of how it sort of loses some of that top and brightness from its spiciness. And I realize I've been in this situation before with different fragrances, but in the same sort of a scenario. And what I mean with that is that this is a clone of Initio's Oud for Greatness. This smells a bit like Oud for Greatness. Of course, there's gonna be a difference. I don't think I've smelled any clone that's 100% exactly the same as the original. But Bade'e Al Oud Oud for Glory definitely has Initio Oud for Greatness vibes. Is it exactly the same? No. None of these two are sort of a complicated sense, but I do feel that Oud for Glory does not have some of the sort of a complexity and some of the nuances that Oud for Greatness has in the opening. And as the oud comes in, I do feel that there's a difference in the oud. For around 35 bucks, you get something with Initio Oud for Greatness vibes. Are they exactly the same? No. But I think a lot of people will not recognize the difference, especially when they get a whiff of it in the air. It's a lot easier to pick up on all the differences, all the similarities, all the nuances of both when you compare them side by side like I do here. And I gotta say that the more this heads into the full dry down, the more I feel it turns into something that has the sort of a smoothness of the original. It will be very interesting to see how this one develops in like a week or a month from now. But I do want to say that if you try Oud for Glory, make sure that you wait until the sort of a full dry down, because I do feel that it transitions a lot faster from the opening to the dry down if you compare it to Oud for Greatness. And I also think that if you try it out, you should get a sense of how it will smell like on your skin the majority of the time. So give it like at least an hour or so to sort of fully dry down. So to sum up Oud for Glory, this opens up quite spicy, and as it dries down, in comes the oud and a bit of musk. And as it dries down, it loses some of that initial sort of a spiciness. Oud for Glory is basically oudy, woody and musky with a bit of spiciness. If you usually enjoy oudy and woody fragrances and want a solid cheapie, then why not try it out? It's like 35 bucks. However, if you are not a big fan of oud in fragrances, definitely stay away. If you try it out, and if you have tried Initio Oud for Greatness, then I would say do not expect Oud for Glory to be 100% exactly the same as Oud for Greatness, because there's a difference. Does it smell good? Yes. Does it smell Initio Oud for Greatness vibes? Good, pretty much. But once again, similar vibes does not always mean exactly the same. And I gotta say that my impression of, I think the name of the line is Bade'e Al Oud, is a good one. I bought Lattafa Bade'e Al Oud Sublime, which quickly went on to become a favorite of mine. I also bought a Bade'e Al Oud Amethyst, which I have not opened up yet. So this line overall seems to be quite a good one. So in conclusion, as a cheapie, this is definitely approved. And even though this loses some of that top and sort of a brightness and shine when it dries down, I also feel that it's actually the dry down that I enjoy the most. That's when this thing turns into something that is a bit sort of spicy, but that mix of oud and musk is the most smooth as it dries down. Bade'e Al Oud Oud for Glory is definitely Rebel approved, and I gotta make sure to do that fragrance haul quite soon with Amethyst because I'm really curious on that one. Now I would love to know how you feel about Lattafa Bade'e Al Oud Oud for Glory. So make sure you leave your thoughts on this fragrance in the comments. Like this video, thank you. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure you check out the videos over there, and I'll see you in the next one.